What is up, everybody? This is your boy Lou Martinez, aka Big Chief Burrito, live with you on a Friday. Oh, no, Saturday. On a Saturday stream. Hope you guys are having an enjoyable weekend. Thanksgiving is coming up. Hopefully, everybody's figured out how to do this social distancing Thanksgiving. We had to cancel Friendsgiving, unfortunately. But hey, man, let's have Thanksgiving in July sometime next year. We can all get together, and let's pretending that turkey's good. Yeah. So let's just have Thanksgiving in July, and let's rearrange all the holidays so that Halloween and Christmas aren't that far together. And let's stop playing Christmas music during Halloween. That was a big thing I saw people freaking out about. But I do want to thank everybody that's joining us today. We're going to be talking about sustainable living. Yeah, I know, Lou. You always talk about acting, and you've talked to former Nazis, and you've talked to cooks, sex experts, all kinds of stuff. But again, this is about the things that interest me and that I want to learn more about. And right now I want to learn about how it is that people can live a more sustainable sort of lifestyle. And I'm going to talk to my friend Meshell Barron, who is an escapee of the mainland. She moved to Hawaii several years ago to raise her family, and she's sort of semi-living off the grid. We'll figure out what she's up to. But again, everybody that's watching, I shouted everybody else up on Instagram. Make sure that you are following and that you follow and like our page, facebook.com/2mburrito, so that you get notified when we go live. If you are somebody that watches streamers podcasts just chatting on Twitch, twitch.tv/2mburrito, make sure you leave a comment, a question. Do you have a question about sustainable living? Do you think that something that you're doing is helping the environment, but it's really not? Leave us a comment. Let us know. All our old podcasts and our old movies from the last 10 years, because 2AM Burrito is getting close to its 10-year anniversary since we stopped talking about it and started actually making films. YouTube.com/2AM Burrito. As always, reminder, please like and share the stream, leave a comment. And about a week after we do the videos, the podcasts go live for audio files, audio only on bigchiefburrito.podbean.com. And joining us today, all the way from the beautiful island, she's several thousand miles away, but let's give her a nice 2AM Burrito welcome. Thank you for joining us today, Meshell. How are you doing today?
Hi, doing well. Thanks for having me.
We had a little bit of an audio and a slight delay, but that can be understandable since you are several thousand miles away. Are you closer to Japan than you are to California?
Ooh, is this a trivia question? I'm going to say probably. Probably, yeah.
No, you know what? The only reason I know that is that I was looking up a bunch of reasons California versus Hawaii, and one of the things was like closer to Australia and to Japan. But then I was thinking, how often do the people in Hawaii actually take advantage of that and take like a weekend trip to Japan or something like that? Is that something that happens?
Ooh, I don't think too much. Not that I hear in the community. I think more island hopping happens. I don't know about for the weekend, even though we're probably a little closer. But as a trivia question, they do say that the east side of the Big Island is the most east point of the whole country. It was like a Jeopardy question.
I mean, the western part or the eastern part?
Well, the eastern part, because we're on the east coast part of the Big Island. So I went from West Coast San Diego to the east side.
Okay, so you're East Coast on the Big Island then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that where all the tourists go, or all the tourists go to the smaller little islands mostly?
I would say all the tourists go to Oahu more, but if they were to come to the Big Island, they'd be going more to the west side, which is Kona, where all the sandy beaches are. It's more like California. Here on the east side, it's your tropical rainforest to the end, more cliffs, no real sandy beaches or anything.
Oh, it's more like molten lava, etc.
Oh, yes. And since we had that current eruption back in, 2018 already, it, renewed a lot and took over a lot of the only sandy beaches we did have.
Now that was like
Yeah.
watching a it was literally like watching a slow moving disaster. I was keeping up with your post and stuff like that because a lot of the media stuff that comes out is obviously end of the world type stuff. But then I would see you post a video and you're just like putting your camera on. You're like, look, there goes the lava. Like it's eating up a playground or it's eating up like a local spot that people go jump in the water and stuff like that. How long? I mean, how was your level of stress during that time period?
Well, I'd say pretty stressful. Since I've lived here, I've been through 2 lava eruptions. So back in 2016, there was a lava eruption headed right for the main Pahoa village, the main town out here in Pahoa, which is in the district of Puna, and it was going to take the whole town out. And not only that, it would have my parents lived out here.
Okay.
Had the lava come and taken out the village, it would have blocked me from my parents. And so we were very stressed about that happening. And then all of a sudden, right before it hit the village, it stopped. And that was it. And then fast forward 2 years later, 2018, an eruption started and right in the middle of a subdivision. And we had just bought our house down the street from where the lava started erupting. We had only lived here a few months in the house we bought and thought, oh my goodness, we're going to have to evacuate as soon as we just moved in. So it was pretty intense.
So you traded in earthquakes and Santa Ana's for molten hot lava.
Yes, and don't forget hurricanes and tsunamis. Oh, pretty exciting.
And you guys had that air raid scare too, also, right? Wasn't there there's a missile headed for Hawaii thing happening like a couple of years ago?
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll be honest. I slept through the text, and when I woke up, was already waking up to the news saying, "Oh, disregard." And so I was like, "Oh, what happened?" But I can't imagine the people who did get that message immediately and panicked. But I kind of got it after the aftermath of it all, so I kind of dodged that one. That scare.
You slept through an extinction level event. Is that what you're telling
me? Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But what were your roots that led you ultimately to the decision to head back towards the island? Your parents were from there, or you weren't? Were you born there, or what was it that eventually drew you back?
Well, yes, my mom was born and raised in Oahu, so I have all my mom's side of the family lives in Oahu, so a lot of roots there. I had some family members grow up here on the Big Island. My grandfather was in the military, so he was stationed in San Diego where me and my siblings were born. But it was always in the back of my mind that I would eventually move to Hawaii, where my roots were, and my parents always wanted to retire back in the islands. So when they retired on the Big Island, I just kind of slowly followed, and so did my sister and my brother. We all kind of just followed along. And it really worked out great.
So you were born, you were California born, you were here, but you always had that part of your family that was from there, and you thought about, it was always like, hey, it's always an option, right?
Definitely. I mean, all through my life as a child, we'd spend the summer out in the islands visiting our family, and so it was almost like my backyard, where I was very familiar with the community and the culture and everything. And so, yeah, it was always, anybody who's known me since I was a little girl knows this is where I wanted to end up.
But you still have to make sort of that conscious decision that you're going to be further away from your established sort of life on the mainland. You're going to have to deal with the different aspects of being in the middle of nowhere, for lack of a better word. Sure. You guys got, sharks. I mean, we got sharks. We got a great white breeding ground in San Diego too. But is there it's in the back of your mind? You're thinking about it. You always think it's an option. But when you actually sit down and say, yes, we are transporting our lives out of here and onto this island, do you do a pros and cons? Do you start kind of negotiating with yourself? What's that process like?
Well, I think for years I was doing the pros and cons. I was very settled in San Diego and the city life and having a really good job and had a brand new truck. So yeah, uprooting that was a really hard decision. But I think sometimes life just kind of gives you that push, and it was in the right time. We're at the right time at the right place, where it was the recession back in 2008, 2007, and everything was just kind of coming to an end in San Diego as far as the job and my living situation. And so it was almost like just the perfect time to just kind of start over and pick somewhere actually pretty familiar to me. And just getting the funds to ship my life over there with like a truck. I had my Chihuahua and a couple of suitcases. I didn't have much. And so, but yeah, it was definitely, I have to say, quite a culture shock. First living here for the first year, it was definitely an adjustment.
So it's much more different than spending holidays there or going there for an extended vacation and stuff like that. Once you're basically planting your flag there, it's a completely different experience, right? That's where the culture shock comes in.
Totally. Yeah, totally different than when you're on vacation. And I had only vacationed here, even though it was throughout the years of my life, it's still very different than when you're trying to hunt for a job and get along and with the community, and very, very different. And on little things, how things are ran. Just going to the store, the local store, very, very different, especially on the Big Island too. I'd say Oahu is more city life, like a lot more like San Diego, but the Big Island's very, very country, very small community. Everybody knows everybody, just like in the movies.
Well, one of the things that I read was that people, I mean, you had roots there, so you already have sort of a home base there established, your family that's there. But sure. I heard there's a lot of like recidivism, like people that decide to move to Hawaii, but they can't, like the culture shock is too much, and it's basically they have to come back. So there's always like this rotating group of people that are like planting their flag, like, oh, we're gonna move to Hawaii, and then they get there, and then they're like, no, this is bad.
Very true. We've not gone through, but I've had so many friends and good friends that usually don't make it more than a couple of years. Or they come here already knowing this isn't their final destination. They just kind of want to try it out for a few years. And a lot of our own friends challenge us and said, oh, you'll be back in a year or two. And I kind of thought maybe so too, but we made it, and we're going 12 years strong already. Can't believe it.
You're proving them wrong.
Yeah.
Is it like a California thing? Because I think for right now, California is experiencing sort of not an exodus since Corona, where people are like, well, if I can work my job from anywhere, then why do I have to pay $1,800 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment? Why wouldn't I be in Arizona or Texas, where I have just as good internet and I can pay a third for rent? So a lot of people, whereas before, during the heyday of San Diego and California, we had all these people coming in from different states, and we were like, no, stop showing up. Just, it's nice, but there's already enough people here. Are you guys in the, like, people are like in the exodus stage, or do you guys want more people to leave, or are you happy that people that want to move there?
Oh, that's so funny you say that, because I used to be one of those San Diegans that would be like, go home. And then I became, that person very much when I moved here. And then now as a, I guess, local, for myself and my family, no, we welcome the newcomers. In fact, I think that's a lot of our crowd that we kind of relate with and are friends with are people from all around the country, all around the world. We just all can relate to each other, and especially the ones that stay long term and have a family and everything. But I welcome newcomers.
So you think that the locals have embraced you as one of their own? Because I know that that's part of the issue that people have sometimes there, is that they come as like this hoity-toity American, and then they get to Hawaii and they get put at the bottom of the totem pole.
That's a loaded question. I do. My sister and my brother had moved here before me and had been welcomed in by the local community and had a good amount of local friends. And so I was really humbled to be accepted as well. And so I do have a lot of local friends, and I'm so lucky that I have been accepted for the most part. Um, but a lot of the times it's very like they have their own crowds and their own schools. They even have their own lands that they build their homes on, and so some of it's kind of separate and apart. But I like to think that even having Hawaiian roots and Hawaiian family members, that I'm accepted by the local community. I mean, I hope so.
No, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I felt like when I first moved to San Diego, the people that I got in along with the most were people from Chicago, Boston that had also moved there. We were also sort of like outsiders in San Diego until I was here for so long that I had basically entrenched myself into the community. And now, I can't really, like, I can say I'm a New Yorker, but the reality is I haven't touched foot in New York in 20 years. So, I'm more of an adapted, San Diego is my adopted hometown.
Yes.
But I do hear that some of the issues that people have in moving to Hawaii is that, and it's understandable as an island state that was basically taken over and say, hey, guess what? You're America now, and for them
right.
for them not to necessarily celebrate those days. Like I heard they don't celebrate like their state day and stuff like that. People are more like, we'll tolerate it,
Yes.
but we're not necessarily gonna like embrace it full force, right?
Right. And I fully support that. So when they had the Mauna Kea movement, which is still ongoing right now, I've made sure to get up there to the mountain and show my support. Same with anything, even with the flags. There's two different flags for Hawaii. One that's part of the United States, and one that's the Hawaiian Kingdom. And I try to really show my support for, because I definitely have Native roots, whether it's Hawaiian roots or Native American roots. And so, yeah, I definitely support the Hawaiian culture and their beliefs for sure.
Absolutely. I have Native roots too. So people sometimes like, hey, how can we call yourself Big Chief Burrito? I'm like, well, I come from a long, my background is a lot of mixed people, indigenous and otherwise. And it actually kind of started off when we used to work together, because a lot of like Filipino and other people would call me boss or chief or stuff like that. And I was like, I guess I am kind of a chief or a boss of my little burrito crew. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go with it. But you and I have known each other for a long time, and I was always in peripherally like sort of amazed that you left San Diego. You went on to sort of start your family there, because both of your kids were born on the island, right? Or did you have one here before you left?
No, both were born here. Yeah.
And do they have a culture shock in reverse when you come visit, or like how do they adapt when you guys come to the mainland?
Oh, they love San Diego. We've only really taken them to San Diego, and my older daughter, who's 7, loves it, and she always tells me that she's going to move there when she grows up. So maybe it's in her blood. I mean, I have a lot of city love in my blood, but it's just, I guess, one of those things, all the action and all the lights, and but yeah, they're definitely not culture shock. They're almost just kind of go with it.
They're just going with the flow.
Yeah.
All right. So then you're in Hawaii, and I don't know how much of this really, and this is kind of the topic that I wanted to kind of dig into, but I wanted to get into your background a little bit, obviously. But you start focusing, and I don't know if this is the island life that brought it out in you, or if it's the hippie in you, but you start kind of slowly coming off grid and more getting into what I say ignorantly is like sustainable living, sustainable kind of platform, like a more easier like subsistence living. I guess I don't know exactly what you would call it, but where does that sort of germinate in your brain, and when does it start becoming more important to you?
Well, when I moved to Hawaii, you kind of immerse yourself into that lifestyle. Since it's so country, there is no real big city at all on this island. Everything's small town. Your daughter's school teacher you see at the local supermarket, and so small. So you're buying a lot of your foods from just the local farmers, even if they're stocking up just the local supermarket. The farmer it's coming from. So you kind of just start right into it when you enter the culture and the community here. And then so over time, it was always my goal to become more self-sufficient and gearing towards more zero waste household. And, but the challenging part is where to get started and what information is out there and what tools do you need to kind of start this lifestyle, because it's very different than I'm used to from growing up in a pretty busy city. And so, so you kind of get in the groove of how things are in such a small country community. And so it's kind of how it got started.
So you start adapting. You always have that in the back of your mind that, we're here, we're on the island. It's more important than ever for us to sort of focus on this. So what is the first kind of step that somebody needs to take if they want to be more responsible and sustainable for Mother Earth? Is it sort of, I would imagine that maybe it's sort of a review or an evaluation about the way they currently live, right?
Absolutely. So what really prompted the green light for me, like, okay, I'm going full speed in this zero waste household style of living, was the state of Hawaii decided to stop accepting plastics and recycling. I guess it was a lack of funding. So on every transfer station and any dumps or anything, they stopped taking any kind of plastic except for like the recyclable water bottles. And it was like, whoa, wait a second, then where's all this plastic going? Obviously, right into the earth. And that's when I started, I sat down and kind of looked at my household and just saw, it was almost like red lights, like plastic, plastic, plastic. Oh my goodness. And all this is just going to go right in the trash. So I got a lot of inspiration from a really close friend of mine who grew up in Guatemala, and she's 100% off the grid, fully self-sustainable with her and her family, zero waste. They don't even own a trash can, really. And I was just amazed when I came to her house and super inspired. And I was just kind of like, teach me. And so, she just helped me start little, which is, like you said, evaluating, starting maybe just in the kitchen and in your refrigerator. And then it becomes like this beautiful cycle. So if you're going to try to eliminate plastic with just some of the food you buy that comes in a plastic container or plastic wrap, well, that was where I first started. So I started looking to more local organic vendors, farmers markets, farms, things like that, who just sold the same product, but in either a cardboard box or a different kind of container. I can bring my own container. So it kind of just started basically in the kitchen. And then I just started making my rounds around the whole house. You open up your medicine cabinet, if you can count more than 5 things that are in a plastic container or a non-reusable container, where does it go when you're done? Right into the trash, right into the earth. Unless you're continuously reusing those containers over and over and over again, which rarely happens. So that's how it kind of all got started, and then just kind of domino effect after that. But you really got to start small, because I got really overwhelmed at first. It was just kind of like, oh my goodness, everything's plastic, everything's this. And so I kind of started this, me and a few of my friends started this, what we called Zero Waste Talking, quote, trash group, and just got together and started looking at different avenues of how to buy the same product, but maybe not in such a wasteful, non-reusable container, or and at the same time supporting local. So that's how it all started.
Step one, sort of take stock of where you at. Recognize that you are, making mistakes. Like I still I still have like single-use plastic bottle here, although I try to when I can. I mean, I don't smack me. But I also have like my reusable cups that I use, and I've moved to sort of more eco-friendly, jars for my cannabis instead of, because I think that's one area that I noticed that there's so much waste in the legal cannabis industry, because they give you your cannabis in plastic, wrapped in cardboard, wrapped in something else, and they have this giant bag that you have to carry it in. And I think that would be my number one thing is, why wouldn't you just take your jar to the store and have them put your stuff there, right? So step one is sort of being aware of where it is that you are on that spectrum of sustainability. Looking around you, looking in your kitchen, and then I guess the second step would be looking at the options that you have, because a certain percentage of that is going to be convenience. Like if the nearest place, but in San Diego, in San Francisco, in LA, obviously they're more on lockdown right now, but farmers markets are places where you can take your own containers and go buy fruits and vegetables and things that you can use. And that's at least like baby steps, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I know everything's kind of a little different at the moment with the current situation, but absolutely. And one of the things that were affected, of course, from the pandemic is we had one really major farmers market. I mean, it was huge here in the community, and they've been shut down all this time. So not only did it affect us, consumers, but the poor local vendors, they have all this produce from their farms and everything. So they got really creative and started just setting up in front of their house and setting up booths along the highway, at their friend's house, and pretty extraordinary booths too, like every kind of exotic fruit. So, we just kind of, as their supporters, started just buying from the individual vendors along the highway or at their homes, and still being able to be more self-sustainable, zero waste, but also at the same time supporting, a local vendor. And then also just getting on the web and researching. There's so much more now being offered as far as zero waste goes. It's become almost, I guess I could say trendy, because there's more zero waste shops opening up in suburban and very city-like communities. We have our first zero waste store that just opened up in the West Side in Kona, which is really huge. But you can definitely shop online too. So, for example, just a plastic toothbrush, once you use it, goes right into the trash. So now they sell bamboo wooden ones that breaks down once it's, in the landfill. And those are super trendy now. You can find that, on Amazon if you're going to shop on Amazon. So it's kind of, I think, a little bit easier this day and age to get started. And then even if you're lessening your carbon footprint just by 20% per household is so huge. If you think about the worldwide or countrywide of everyone just being aware and starting little.
Yeah. So there's, the one thing though is that I will say is that they need to step up the cardboard straw situation, because I know people started freaking out and were like, yeah, straws. That's the hill we're going to die on, is plastic straws. And trust me, nobody wants to see, turtles with the straws in their nose. I don't want to see that. I still cut up my 6-pack things because I saw the when I was a kid, they would show us the turtles with the thing. I recycle, but I cut up those things just because of that. But there's certain things that are not there yet to where people like, all right, you're giving me this straw, but as soon as I take 2 sips of my, milkshake or soda, it becomes this mess that doesn't even work though, right?
Right. Well, they have metal straws now that we have. They're like stainless steel, I should say, stainless steel straws.
Okay. I knew you'd have an answer for that.
Huh?
I said I knew you'd have an answer for that. I said I knew you'd have an answer for that.
Yeah, because I agree with the cardboard straws. They collapse in your mouth. But yeah, we own a bunch of stainless steel straws, and in fact, I go as far as the step, if you're going to eat out into a restaurant, I even bring my straws with me, so that I always tell the server, I don't need a straw, and I just bring my own, or just go without one. So one less straw, right, into the earth, into the ocean. And same if you're gonna, go to an outing. Let's say you have a picnic. We bring our own cutlery, not necessarily silverware, but we have like bamboo cutlery that we'll bring. We bring reusable plates, so no more paper plates, plastic cups, none of that. We bring it all with us. It's already in the glove box, ready to go in case we're going to stop and have a snack on the side of the road. We're prepared. Same with restaurants. If you're going to get a to-go box, 9 times out of 10, it's a styrofoam or plastic, or sometimes it'll be a compostable box, but that's a whole nother category.
Rarely.
How many of people are actually composting that container? So, what we do is we bring our own. We bring a little Tupperware or just a container to put your leftovers in. Just have a little to-go box in your car for a restaurant.
Well, I think that restaurants, for them, it's like, listen, we're already on a very thin margin in terms of our profits. So if you're asking me if I can get 100 styrofoam boxes for like 20 cents each for my to-go orders versus 100, compost-friendly boxes that might be like $1 or something each. I have to pass that on to you, and then people are like, "Why am I paying $17 for this cheeseburger?" Right?
Sure, absolutely.
So I think some of it has to do with people that you have to understand that if you expect that of restaurants, if you expect that of people around you, and you want to be the person that doesn't necessarily take the steps that we're recommending that people at least look inward, then you have to be okay with paying a little bit more, for certain products, right?
Definitely. And then there's, you get to the point where if it's really hard to find that item or that restaurant that is not supporting your, zero waste lifestyle, or you really want, this certain item at the store, and it's just, there's no way around the plastic or whatever the packaging is. My advice is you're going to have to live without it. No, I'm just kidding. But, so we go without a lot of our convenience of our typical comfort foods, and a lot of it, to be honest, is usually, not the healthiest foods anyway. So, like I said, it was a beautiful cycle. Being zero waste also helps develop a more healthy lifestyle in the end. Because, if you just get a package of carrots that are fresh from a regular store, versus maybe a packaged mac and cheese that comes in not a self-sustainable, recyclable container. Obviously, you can pick the healthier choice here, and it just becomes this really beautiful cycle of, healthy lifestyle all around.
So you have to sort of embrace that, there's very little chance that you're going to lessen your carbon footprint, that you're going to lessen your impact on Mother Earth, that you're going to have this positive effect as opposed to a negative effect on the world, without giving up a couple of things that you might have been accustomed to, right? That you have to balance that out. Be what you're, basically is the juice worth the squeeze, right?
Right. And it is giving up maybe more than a couple things. And that's why, it's hard to make this shift. And so it's easy to maybe start like, oh, I'm going to be gung ho and I'm going to, be zero waste and I'm not going to buy this, and then kind of get burned out and be like, well, I'm at this event and, all they have is this, and so I'm just going to buy it anyways. And, and it's so easy to have that just, burn you out. So the real key is to just really start small and just maintain that kind of lifestyle, and then slowly just start doing, living without, all these little convenience, because it's more than a few things that you give up. And but it makes you definitely really aware of, oh my goodness, how much goes into our landfills. So, you know, I was going to challenge our viewers, a 30-day challenge, just to kind of make you aware of, you know, 30 days, go 30 days of trying to not fill your trash can up. See how much waste you make. I have a friend who was going shopping for a new trash can for her remodeled home, and she wanted a fancy one. But the bigger the trash can, she kept thinking, gosh, that means it's just more waste. It's just, you kind of just get in that cycle. I have that room in that trash can. So she went and bought the tiniest little trash can so that she would be forced to not keep filling it. And it just really helped kind of regulate the household, and it helped regulate what she'd buy at stores or not buy at stores. And so it kind of just gives you an awareness of how much waste each household, you know, in the country makes every day.
So a couple of things that I think that from what I'm hearing, that may not be as difficult to do, where you're like, oh, I have to change my entire life. But let's say you're going to go to your favorite taco shop or what have you, or your favorite sushi place or whatever. I think if you show up with your own, well, I don't know if they can do it now during COVID because of food prep rules, but I would say under normal circumstances, you're not going to get looked at funny if you show up to pick up an order and you say, can you just put it into this container for me, right? That seems something that could be super simple, right? That's that.
I mean, I would believe so. And you know, speaking of the current situation with the pandemic, I feel like it's even more so to be more zero waste and more self-sufficient. If your favorite taco shop is not offering, you know, certain services due to COVID, maybe it's best to just, you know, go without, prepare it yourself at home with less waste, less packaging, less everything. I feel like maybe during this time, it's even more a great time to get started. It also keeps you, you know, if you do one big shopping, hopefully more of a local, you know, local stores versus the big box stores. I know it's a little trickier in cities. You know, we're very spoiled here with a lot of more mom and pop shops who are struggling, but they offer a lot of the same things a big box store would. And, you know, shopping at the mom and pop stores instead and still getting the same ingredients as your taco or, you know, whatever meal that is, and creating less waste at the same time supporting local. It could be just a great time to stay out of the big, busy, crowded stores during this time. So it's kind of just in turn becomes I believe, a really good time to get started is during this time.
But yeah, again, I think that makes sense. But what I was thinking about is like, even if you think, I don't want to, I'm a gluttonous, selfish person because I am an American, and I really don't want my life to be moved to be you know, I want to live in the lifestyle that I am accustomed to, is I think what a lot of people would sort of have as their like motto. But you know, even with that thinking, saying I don't need utensils because it's just another pack it's a plastic pack with a plastic fork and a spoon that you're not going to use. You're going to stick it in a drawer somewhere in case you have a party, or you're going to throw it away and not think about that. That's an extra 2 pieces of plastic, a piece of paper, and another plastic covering over it that you don't need. You have paper towels or towels at home. So just the most minimal thing you could possibly do is start saying, I don't need utensils. I'm going to take, I'm not even going to need the utensils. I'm going to eat this burrito with my bare hands. So
right.
Save those. And that would be, I'm trying to talk to the people that need to start with the bare minimum so that they can eventually get to the point where they're like, Michelle's right. I could start, looking at the other options that are around me, farmers markets, local stores that are zero waste stores where you bring your own containers. And you're going to get the same beans, the same rice, the same you're going to get at, here. but you're putting it into something that's sustainable. Is that's kind of what I'm going for. That's kind of where I'm starting off, because you're like already in advanced science and AP algebra, and we're sitting over here like, and I'm sitting over here like, okay, why am I going to spend all this money on a compost machine when then I got to figure out if I can put my eggs in there? All right, I can put the eggshells in there, but I can't put the corn husks in there. But I can put any leftover rice in there, but I can't put this in there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that is a great way to start. Is just, yeah, if you're going to eat at your local taco shop, yeah, start little. Tell them you don't need the utensils, you don't need the napkins. If it's allowed, bring your own container, have them put it in it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely right. Wherever you can just start small and it will make a huge difference. Definitely. I mean, like, you don't even have to use their, napkins, paper towels. We have cloth napkins that we bring. And that's what I said. Have a little kit in your car ready to go for to-go orders or for drive-throughs or whatever. Have your straws ready for your milkshake at McDonald's. But I mean, yeah, start little. Have this little kit in your car. And that's a good way to start. Mm-hmm.
Take it from there. And then when you get into, more things after that, then you can start trying to eliminate single-use plastics, start composting, maybe start growing some of the vegetables that are local and that you're able to grow locally for yourself. Start sort of figuring it out, as opposed to this like, oh, I just got to click on this, click, and people deliver that shit to my door.
Yes.
Okay, I could take a piece of my yard. If you're in California, obviously it's different places, but no matter where you are, there's the baby steps, which is, like I said, that's the bare minimum that even if you're an asshole, you should be trying to do. And then there's the basics, which is, like I said, the other stuff, the smaller garbage can, the thinking about your footprint at a most advanced level. And then there's the people like you that are like, all right, we already passed the basics. Now I'm getting serious about this shit. And now we're going, all crazy, which not to diminish it, but you kind of see where I'm coming from, though, right?
Oh, definitely. Yes. And it's a journey for sure. And if you are going to, buy that item that you really need, or, like, you got to find the balance, of course. And I myself is trying to find the balance. But if you are going to buy that item, whether it's a food item, your shampoo bottle, whatever, just, what I always tell everybody, just reuse then. At least try to reuse. If you are going to get that product that's, in that container, in that bottle, try to find a use for it. I mean, there's some creative Pinterest, posts out there of taking a shampoo bottle or a water bottle. My daughter has gotten super creative with reusing all different kinds of water bottles and plastic bottles and cardboard, and just getting super creative with it, making planters out of the water bottles. And I mean, so if you really are, going to get that item, just reuse it as much as you can. So it's a good place to start too, as a baby step.
Why is it that if I prefer to just have 10 of these in my fridge, because I have to not drink as much soda, but if there's super cold water in my fridge, I can just open this and go, I'll fuck with it, right? But if I buy this, right, but then I'm very careful to always recycle it, I'm still doing bad, right? It's still an issue because of the production of the single use. And what else? Well, how else would you explain that to me?
Oh, that's a good one. So two things. The water itself sitting in a plastic bottle is really unhealthy for you, for one. But also, there's a whole documentary about it. And it'll change your whole way of thinking of ever buying a bottle of water. But also, they say, and what I hear and what I've researched, even though you go and recycle it at a recycling center, not all of it gets recycled. Not all of it gets, melted down. A lot of it still gets tossed. A lot of it, gets thrown in the landfills. So if there's even a small percentage that's just being tossed or not recycled, which is, there's truth to that, then, you might as well just not buy it and just get like the water machine was, so we here in Hawaii have these water machines, and then we fill up our water, and
we all don't live in an oasis, Meshell.
I know. There's got to be water machines there. There has to be. Your local faucet.
We all can't walk into the backyard and then rearrange a couple of leaves together and then and then just have the water into the cup and then
why not?
I mean, why not? We all can't do that.
Well, and and we're so lucky too, because even with our water, so our plumbing here, we're if you say semi off grid, we catch our rainwater, and that's the only way that we have water to the house. So for showers, for the bathroom, for washing our dishes, so it helps us be more self-sustainable. And so we do have, water machines, which I know they're in San Diego, and we fill up the larger containers, glass preferable, but if, they have the large plastic containers and you can fill up water, and it just eliminates a whole 12-pack of water bottles being used.
We have those. Yeah, I think it's like $1. You can get the 5-gallon jugs and fill it up.
Right.
For like $1. Yeah, that's definitely the move. But like I said, like in terms of, if you're living or working from home and you're during this time and you're like, well, I still recycle it, and stuff like that, you sort of feel like you're doing enough. But you're really, and as I say that, I'm going to take a slight sip of the poison water.
and I did hear that those water bottles, the 5-gallon ones, can be delivered to your house for your convenience as well. So easy peasy, small baby steps, right?
Right, and like I said, the reason that I wanted to talk to you about it is because I think we all, number one, you had been making posts about something like that, and you were just like, I wonder if I should do like a show or a podcast about that. And I was like, you should absolutely do a show or a podcast about that because there's an audience for it. Number two, and then I said, you know what, you should come on my podcast, talk about it for a little bit, see how you feel in getting into that podcast meet, because and then take it from there, right?
Sure. I'm so honored.
How do you feel so far?
I feel good, like natural, right. And you're make it so comfortable. Yeah.
I'm good at what I do.
Yeah, you are.
All right, so you're in Hawaii. You're trying your best. We have people here that are in San Diego, like myself, and like I said, other than those two reasons, I want to have these conversations with people that know more about things than I do, because the whole point is to learn, to have human connections during this time as well. But also, because, I'm always trying to be better each day. So if we can try to be a little bit better by taking simple steps and then learning more about it and then taking more advanced steps, we don't all necessarily have to live in a very, utopian paradise and have, we're not all going to be able to get there. But I think as long as you're trying and you're making an effort and you're not just being the asshole that's standing in the way, I think there's a balance there, right?
Definitely. And that's why I'm so honored to be on this podcast, because yes, everyone would love to live or visit Hawaii and everything, and maybe even develop some of the lifestyle changes that I've developed. But that's why I'm here. I'm here to influence and inspire and bring, all the things that I've learned of living in this beautiful community and this culture, that just really brings you down to earth and just, really makes you aware of how, precious the earth is, because here on this little island, you see where all the trash goes, and for me in San Diego, it was more like out of sight, out of mind. It's this huge landfill. It just goes there, but everything's just so right here in your face. And you're like, wow, that is literally going right in the island. And it just makes you so aware. And so some of my posts, I was feeling like, oh, I just need to get out with a big, horn and tell everybody, like, it's worth saving, it's worth making the change, even if it's a little change, and finding like-minded people in your community or your friends. It's, start having a conversation about what can we do in each household, what can we do as friends, what can we do in this little event that you're having, or whatever it is. And especially with the holidays coming up, and I know, most people aren't really gathering in big groups, but, if they are having some kind of celebration for the holidays, just trying to be a little bit more aware, eco-friendly about it, it goes a long way.
Yeah, and then when you get to Meshell's level, you can convert your diesel truck so that you can just use like old oil from like fast food restaurants and drive around in your little Volvo. That's it.
It smells good. It smells like onion rings.
All right. Yes or no? Within the last 6 months, you've considered moving into a van?
No.
Okay, making sure, because some of those people. I was wondering if you were getting to that, like, hey, we're just gonna like drive around in a van and like have zero. You know what I mean? Like I just want to know how far gone you were. Okay.
It's a good idea though, and I think I'm gonna retire and live in a motorhome, but not yet.
No, okay. Hey, that's the next one. That's the next one. We're talking with Meshell Barron. She's joining us directly from Hawaii, and I want to remind everybody, aloha, that you guys are watching Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito. I made it to the 20th day on No Shave November because my significant other was telling me that my face felt like a prickly pear. So I was like, but I tried. So now this is clean shaven loop. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you follow us and that you like facebook.com/2mburrito so you can get notified when we go live. We are very close to 1,000 followers, which would be good. And twitch.tv/2mburrito. Just started that one. We're going to add in some more content, maybe some even gaming content. Going to be playing. I'm trying to figure out what video games I should play so that you can follow us there. And then to watch my old movies, interviews, and everything else that we've done as a company, 2mburrito. Going to be 10 years old soon. YouTube.com/2mburrito. Yeah, no, I've been making movies for the last 10 years. I used to talk about making movies, and I used to say, hey, I went to film school. I got this movies. But at the same time, I was working in a call center for like 14 years, which is where we met. But little did I know that the fact that, because what did I have to do at a call center? I had to meet people, figure out what their personality type, and figure out how to motivate them and manage them. Right? I had to figure out how to get people to work together. I had to work with people from all different walks of lives. Right? I had to be able to stand up in front of a room of 150 people and tell them exactly what I needed them to do. I had to train people, and I didn't realize it, but I was learning how to be a director. So that when I stepped on a movie set and started and began realizing that it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. But you know me from a whole previous Lou, where I was the boss Lou.
Oh yeah, well, we won't talk about that. No, I'm kidding. Oh yes, and I'm so glad because I tell people too. Yeah, like I remember when he said, "Oh, I want to be when I grow up is a director, a producer," and here you are living the dream. And I'm so glad to be a part of it.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, this is just more of a reaction to the COVID, because I realized I wasn't going to be on a movie set at any point in the near future because it's just too crazy. And I was going to be hunkered down at home, so I wanted to get some. I used to do a podcast about filmmaking. I wanted to do one that was more just about the stuff that I'm interested in. So I always, as soon as I saw you starting doing that, I was like, ooh, Meshell should do that. And you can very easily do it with not paying a lot of money, because you can record it through the StreamYard free function, and you can just go like, hey, this is lesson 1 or here's the basics and stuff like that, and put it out there, and I'm sure you'll find an audience. So I'm glad you're having a good experience, so that you can in turn. I'm on the everybody should have a podcast mindset, so I hope that you eventually put that into action.
Well, I think it's a good idea. Definitely, I would love to look into that, inspire more people, hopefully.
Now, what was the like in terms of like. Because I don't know crap about composting, pun intended. But what is the basics of what people should know about that?
Well, so for the basic kind of compost, it's anything green can go in it. So any produce, fruits, vegetables, anything around your yard, your clippings, even some of the soil, some of the dirt, some old plants, anything green. Also, your compostable containers that you get from restaurants break down really well. And even some of the brown paper bags that don't have a ton of ink on it, the ink kind of becomes an issue. But when you get this, your plain solid paper bags, those go in and break down. And then once it's broken down, you don't ever have to buy soil anymore. And so it becomes this wonderful cycle. Of course, you buy soil to get started from whatever stores, big box stores, whatever you need to do. But in turn, the whole idea is just become self-sustainable. They do have some compost that you can throw like meat products and stuff in. But I mean, I'm not really going that route, but there's definitely, you can do that too.
Is that like the next like extreme step? I mean, I guess the next is that where like because once you sort of become aware of the industries that you're supporting and what they're doing for the environment or not doing for the environment, and what the real cost of a single-use plastic or cardboard is that where like a lot of people then turn to like veganism, because then they start kind of going away from like the meat industry and stuff like that? Is that kind of
definitely part of, zero waste, self-sustainability lifestyle. It definitely impacts your diet for sure. And maybe not necessarily vegan. I would say a lot of people turn more towards vegetarian and vegan, but you're definitely eating less meat products. It's just, it's not necessary. And then, all the meat is wrapped in all that stuff, and then whatever waste you have or leftovers, you can't really do much but throw it in the trash. So it makes sense to just limit or eliminate it.
Do you treat yourself like in terms of like, yes, I'm a minimalist, I'm sustainable living and this and that, but like I just can't say no to
Never. No. Yeah, definitely. And that's what it is about finding that balance. And I definitely treat myself. I have this thing about pie. Thank goodness for the holidays coming up. But then again, I just try to make it myself. But
yeah, that's a tinfoil plate and a plastic top on that pumpkin pie. Sorry.
Yeah, so I just make it myself. No, but I mean, so, if I'm on a long drive and I want some coffee and some donuts, I definitely will splurge, but then right away that container it comes in, I'm like, save that container, I'm going to reuse it. Don't throw it away. And, I'm kind of a Nazi when it comes to that. But, so it's always in my mind. I'm always thinking, how can I reuse that item if I'm going to buy it and it comes in this container? I have to immediately know what I'm going to do with it.
I'm gonna have to make a sacrifice to the sustainability gods. We can't touch a piece of plastic for 60 days because we ate donuts and coffee. What do people do in their normal life that they like? Are there any things that people that feel healthy and feel I don't want to say righteous, but that feel like that are positive towards the earth, but actually are not?
I don't know. I maybe I've just been really lucky to meeting some amazing people who are, really serious and thrilled and committed to living this lifestyle. And my little group of friends that we called ourselves trash talkers, they are way more ahead than I am in my household. And I'm just fascinated. I'm always just like, teach me, or I have questions like, well, I really want this, but, how do you do it? And so it's fascinating. But I mean, I haven't really, come across so much negativity with it, which is really great. I think it's a great mindset all around.
I think that's a great place to start. Like you said, like groups, like local groups, like even if you said, you know what, I'm going to start a group and just call it who in Chula Vista wants to learn more about sustainability, where people can, and I know there's already groups like that out there. Oh, here's the local markets. Here's the things like that. So I think that one of the unique things about the social media age is that if you decide that you want to learn more and be more about it, there's resources available where you can just literally join probably 1 or 2 Facebook groups, meet some people, see some posts, and you will be able to take concrete steps to actually lower your footprint, right?
Absolutely. And even more so now with Zoom chat and everything, you can, get together with, like-minded people and brainstorm. And that's exactly what we did. And then just kind of, locating those places in your community, the zero waste shops, operations and centers and different recycling centers, and kind of just, putting your feelers out there in your community of where everything is, and then going from there. And I remember before COVID, we were always stumped on big events and how much waste big events makes. And so we developed this like container of all these plates and cloth napkins and reusable cutlery and even like earth-friendly decorations. And it was something that we like rotated this container around our friends group. So, oh, you're having a birthday party, here's the container of, the party goods that, are zero waste, and or here's, a big anniversary party. And so it was a really, neat little group to have and get started, and it keeps you kind of inspired, and it keeps you informative and, with all the information. And so, yeah, it's, it was really awesome. And that's what really got me going.
Now, besides these basic steps that we talked about in like the 30-day challenge, which I think would be a great title for your video, like a 30-day garbage challenge, and then just like take people to like day 2, something like that.
Yeah.
But besides that, the things that we've already mentioned, because I know you had some topics as well. What other things that we haven't talked about are things that people should be more aware of, or steps that they can take to be more friendly to the earth?
Well, basically, I mean, we've touched on most of the things, but some of the other little things, of trying to stay out of the big box stores and everything, but buying more like secondhand. So if you are going to buy clothes, if you're going to buy new dishes for your kitchen, try to go more secondhand. And then at the same time, when you're ready to purge your home and get rid of stuff, a lot of people maybe don't have time, or, right now garage sales and things like that might not be so easy, but to just find a donation center or give it away, try to reuse. And we're also in the, trying to start a trading post where nothing's for sale, there's no money involved, but we're just, you leave something, take something, whether it's a plant with vegetable plants or it's toys for children. So all of it just kind of gets moved around the community versus, it's we don't need it, I'm just going to get rid of it, and whatever happens to it, happens to it. And so I think, being that person in your community and getting things maybe like that started, and getting a little bit more creative in starting something in this, in these times right now, it could be a good challenge. But that I think starting there too is going to more recycling centers. And so our transfer station where all the trash goes has recycling centers, not just for like your cans and your bottles, but also for items. And you bring everything there, and people can come and just take what they need, whether it's toys or tools or whatever, so that it just doesn't end up in the landfill. And if it's not in your community, maybe think about how to start something similar to that.
Do something. There's things that people can do, and like we talked about, it's definitely more accessible to people. There's more information. There's the www webs. There's the Googles. There's all that good stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, just let you know we're getting a little bit of rain coming in case you hear it.
Oh, that's all right. We're almost done. I wanted to give you a chance to kind of touch on anything that we had missed.
Yes, no, thank you. And just real quick, if you think about it, if you are buying secondhand or you are, trading all that, in the end, I guess my kind of little motto is, you're saving money while saving the planet. And so in the end, it's just this, like, again, a beautiful cycle, of how it all works, being self-sustainable.
It's the circle of life. Okay. I also saw that you had posted a picture of you and your kids chopping down a Christmas tree, and I guess, is that a place where you plant a tree and then you chop down a tree? Is that what's happening? Because you can, like you were saying, you can get one the next year.
No, so it's a local farm in a very beautiful area called Volcano, and it's a tree farm, and so they go all year growing their growing their Christmas trees, and then this time of the year you can go and pick one out, and they want it to stay in the ground as long as possible. So they kind of have a little policy that you can't really cut it down until after Thanksgiving, so it's its freshest. So normally, back in the day, we would go to your local stores like Home Depot, Walmart, whoever would have the Christmas trees, and go pick one out. But now that we've really made this huge shift in our home, we really want to only support local and stay out of the big box stores. And so we were so excited when we found this farm, and they've only been kind of doing this, I believe, for only a few years. So it's kind of new to the island. So next week after Thanksgiving, we get to go and cut our own tree down and have not only the experience, this amazing National Lampoon Christmas Vacation experience, but we're not going to pull it out of the root or anything. We'll be able to also support this wonderful local family and farm.
But Meshell, isn't me chopping down a tree every year for like 30 years more intrusive than me just having one plastic Christmas tree that we just bust out every year?
No, because one, they grow it specifically for this reason. So it's not like a endangered tree or an endangered species, a plant species. And eventually, a lot of the times, your plastic Christmas tree, I'd say a lot of the time, end up in the landfills. When people don't want them, they can't sell them. Sometimes they just get dumped with the tinsel on it. So, I can't say always, but I think that if this is specifically what the trees were going for this magical time, why not?
All right. And then finally, I wanted to talk to you about, because you pretty much got all the ones that you were, unless I missed one of the ones that you wanted to talk about, or is that good?
No. We covered it. Yeah.
All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about your company because I've been promoting it on. You are a lot of companies. A lot of my friends that have small businesses, I've been rotating them and mentioning them on my streams because we are obviously in the holiday season, right? So you started off your company and you do a bunch of different things. You do customize signs. I mean, like, hold on a second here. If I can hit, I can't hit that. Let's say you got somebody that you likes to cook. You get them like a customized cooking board or something like that, right? Yeah.
Right,
so when did you start? When did you start the company? And I would assume that you're putting some of the principles that you live by into the production of these things, right?
Absolutely. So the way we got started was seeing all these pallets, wooden pallets on the side of the road and back of stores. They're just tossing them. Nobody wanted them. At the time, my husband worked at Home Depot, and he saw so many thrown away. And so we got the idea to turn pallet into art, which a lot of people do, and I see a lot on Pinterest. And, and it's something I've always wanted to do. So we started ripping apart these pallets and making these signs and planters and even cutting boards and bottle openers and dog leash holders and coasters. And they just took off. We couldn't believe the response in just our little community, too.
Okay, these are nice.
And so we started to step it up by getting a couple of wood burning tools, and then we started getting into some of the exotic woods from Hawaii. So a lot of local vendors who give away their scraps of the exotic woods like koa wood and mango and monkey pod. So we would take all the scraps and just paint them and turn them into art. But eventually over the years, we kept getting the question about, well, when are you going to do apparel? When are you going to do decals? So we definitely dabble in kind of trying to provide all of that. But our main start and our main goal was the recycled wood and recycled wood materials. And a lot of our other customized items, such as mugs and all that, we get all secondhand. And then, we try to make it personalized for people. Same with some of the apparel and the hats. We try to get it all secondhand and things like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so if you're out there and you're looking for a customized gift for somebody, why not try M&M Custom Designs with a K on Etsy? They might help you out. But I think it's awesome that you're taking sort of nothing and turning it into something. Is it keeping you pretty busy? Is that?
It is. And I'm I love it though. It doesn't feel like work at all. I mean,
Yeah.
I almost feel like, man, I remember, well, I don't remember, but hundreds of years ago when people were on the side of the road trying to sell their art and be an artist. And here I am, I'm like, I'm an artist and I'm getting paid for it and people are displaying it. And I mean, I'm just so honored and it's so fun. And yeah, it keeps me pretty busy along with the homeschooling and all that. It's kind of tricky to juggle it. And sometimes my girls get involved and they'll help me with signs too. So it's a family thing.
Nice. I was going to ask you, I guess the last part of the sustainability thing is, even if you're a gluttonous consumer of goods, how easy is it to sort of start kids off on the path so that it becomes sort of natural in their life? Because I guess if you're a kid and you don't understand, you don't realize that there's all this other crap and stuff, then you're just gonna be happy with the apple or whatever it is that you're given. But then, at some point they get out into the real, consumerism world, and they're going to see be tempted by all these things. So what kind of, speak a little bit about that. What kind of steps do you take to try to do that, and why is that important to you?
Well, I really get, at least with my children, I get them very involved with the gardening and the composting and the recycling. We have many, many talks about Mother Earth, about how precious she is and how beautiful she is. But we also, we experience it. So we go on walks and we go on the side of the roads and pick up the trash together as a family. And all the things we do reuse. They see that, okay, it was originally, say, a shampoo bottle, let's say, for example, but now we're going to reuse it as a planter. And so I really get them involved, and it's really sparked their creativity where now they want to do that with everything. Where we're walking the dog and they say, oh, there's a piece of trash, we need to stop and go get it. And now it's just becoming second nature to them, because we're constantly, living that way and having conversations about that and just being active.
How often? Okay, all right. So I'm wrapping up, and I have a bracket for you that we're going to go through in a second. But do you know if or do you have a handle or somewhere where if you do start doing some stuff like this about sustainability, people can follow you, or have you not created sort of what that is yet?
I have not created. Yeah, I haven't created anything yet, but
okay. But we will share it when that's time. But for now, people, I guess, can go to your Etsy store or follow or look for M&M Custom on other platforms as well, and that's you. So I would assume that right. But
yes.
Make sure people know that it's with a K on other platforms, but on Etsy it's with Etsy it's with a K, but everywhere else it's with a C
for custom. Yeah.
Okay. Well, either way,
yeah.
People will find it, and that's fine. And I'll make sure that I link it and stuff like that. All right. So you lived in San Diego. You lived in the island, right?
On the big island.
And everybody knows that I do a bracket bit with my guests where I have them choose this or that in a tournament style bracket for all the marbles. So for you, it's more of a different one. This is just going to be a little bit of this or that in terms of like whether I'm just going to give you two choices. So it's going to be like a hybrid bracket. We'll figure it out though. All right. You ready?
Okay.
All right. I gotta hit a transition. Give me a second here. I gotta be professional. All right. Hold on. Nice. All right. Bracket bit time, Meshell. She is in Hawaii. She is an environmentalist, sustainable living. She also has a store, and she also is from San Diego. So our bracket bid today is going to be a bunch of questions because the difference between Hawaii and San Diego. All right. You're going out on a date, right? Here's the first question. All right.
Okay.
Give me a second. Let me share this screen with you. Boom. Yeah, you see that? All right. You going out Diamond Head or the gas lamp?
Ooh. Gas lamp.
Gas lamp. No. It's not zero waste, by the way.
I guess because I kind of missed it.
All right, you gotta go to eat one last time before I don't know something. Do you go Kahlua Pig or Korean barbecue? A San Diego staple.
Ooh, Kahlua Pig.
All right. Somebody's gonna interrupt you at dinner time. Would you prefer it be a mariachi band or one guy with a ukulele?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with the ukulele.
Ukulele, all right. And now, North Shore or La Jolla?
Ooh, La Jolla all the way.
All right. You got to go to school, SDSU or University of Hawaii?
Ooh, SDSU. Sorry.
All right. And more epic sports competition, watching some surfing in Maui or watching a baseball game at the old Murph?
Ooh,
or a Chargers game. The Murph.
Or the Murph all the way.
Mexican bodega candy or macadamia nuts? You can only have one snack.
I'm going to go with macadamia nuts.
Macadamia nuts. All right, you got some people in from out of town. You got to take them one place. You taking them to SeaWorld or you taking them to the Pearl Harbor Memorial?
Oh.
Which one is more important for a tourist to go see?
Oh, I'm going to go with Pearl Harbor on that one.
All right, you're on the beach. Are you drinking a Mai Tai or an Adios motherfucker?
Mai Tai. Those days are over.
All right. What's better, trips to other islands or trips to Tijuana?
Oh, I'm going to say trips to other islands.
All right. Hey, look at you all mature out there in paradise.
I know.
All right. San Diego red sunsets versus island sunsets.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to go with San Diego sunsets.
And it gets nice and red and purpley. That's a good time right there.
So beautiful.
All right, you got to go hang out somewhere. Claremont, Oahu.
I'm gonna go. Ooh, it's hard because there's a lot of history in Claremont. I'm gonna go with Claremont. Ooh, right. Old school Claremont.
All right. Are you smoking some Maui Wowie or some Cali Kush?
Let's go with some Cali Kush.
Cali Kush. All right. I've never been to this place, but I know it exists because I found it on Google. Balboa Park or Mauna Loa?
The Mauna Loa, the mountain, or the macadamia factory?
I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Balboa Park.
All right, Balboa Park. All right, and what's more scary, a Hawaii meth head or an East County meth head?
I'm gonna go with East County.
East County scary. All right, that's good to know.
Yeah.
All right. And it's 2 a.m. in the morning. Are you eating 2 a.m. poi or spam or a 2 a.m. burrito?
2 a.m. burrito.
There you go. All right. All right, that was this and that for you. I'm not going to go through the whole bracket because some of these. I mean, how are you going to pick between a ukulele? All right, you know what? How are you going to pick between a ukulele and La Jolla? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. It makes more sense as a this or that brackets. But you've answered the questions very bravely. You made tough decisions, but in the end, it's there's nothing like a 2 a.m. burrito, right?
Oh, nothing. I miss it.
All right. Well, Meshell, I'm gonna let you go since you are on the island and you have composting to do, I would assume. Or
yes, lots. Yes, thank you so very much. This has been a lot of fun.
No, I know. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you had a good time. I think that that you have a lot of information. Obviously, I peppered it with some jokes there, but I think that there's a lot of stuff that I learned, and there's a lot of stuff that's available for people to learn. So I hope that you eventually, I know you're busy, but hey, put some of that content out there in the universe, and it'll be good for people to learn basics. Like I have tried to. And.
Definitely.
And I wish you the best to you and your family. Hopefully, you guys, and everybody on the island there gets through this stuff and hope you have a happy, sustainable holiday.
Oh, thank you, and you as well. And no more water bottles drinking, okay?
No, yeah, that's something I can change. So I will, like I said, I will do all the baby steps that I can until I'm ready to take those big leaps like you have. But thank you, everybody that was watching. I know I missed some comments, but thanks for watching, Hero Team Ken. Thanks for watching. Dimitri says great combo, guys. Thank you for everybody else that tuned in. So this is Big Chief Burrito and Meshell from Hawaii saying peace out.
Shaka.
Out.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.